too. It's time to take advantage of all the benefits of the only Medicare Advantage plans with
What up, all my kings and queens? Yes, my hair is a hot mess today, but we're going to talk about.
To this baby, her mother's love is everything.
We're going to talk about a lot of things going on today. We're going to talk about Sweetie doing the big chop. Donald Trump's orange head ass finally giving up. And Beyonce saying that she is retiring from the music industry. I hope all y'all are having an awesome Friday. We got 1 week. We got 1 week before Thanksgiving. Yes, Turkey Day, stuffing. I know it sucks that we can't, spend Thanksgiving with our families because Miss Rona is still wreaking havoc on our lives. But they're coming out with a vaccine, and I've been seeing a lot of memes on Instagram about people getting the vaccine. And I'm a little scared. Because I saw a video of this one guy who had gotten the vaccine and he was like choking, like coughing and act like he had stuff in his throat and was like falling all over the place. And I'm like, I think I'll pass. I think I'll wait till everybody else gets the vaccine, make sure everything's all good, and then I'll get it. Okay, but we're going to talk about Sweetie. We're going to talk about Sweetie doing the big chop, y'all. Okay, so I was scrolling down Instagram, and I seen Sweetie had posted a picture of her with really short hair, nice, cute little rainbow colors, and someone in the comments section said, I hope she didn't do it. And I'm thinking to myself, yes, she did. And she looks amazing. I think she looks so cute with short hair and just like that daring little rainbow color. I mean, Sweetie has always been, like, when it comes to fashion, has just always done her own thing. Like, Sweetie has never followed the trends. Like, Sweetie has always set the trends. Okay. And I think, like, she definitely gives me, like, Cassie vibes when it comes to, like, her style and just the fact that she's so free and so innovative and she just does whatever she wants. Like, and just doesn't give a damn. And I like that about Sweetie. Her music might not be that good. You got some songs that are bops, and then you just some songs that are like, maybe she should like try something else. But I absolutely love what Sweetie has done with her hair. I know the blogs are going to go crazy.
The move is being met by a rare rebuke by the central bank, which typically steers clear.
We're also going to talk about the whole Ken and Daria situation. Apparently, there's this huge YouTube couple. They're called Daria and Ken, aka DK for DK4L. And apparently Ken from Ken and Daria was caught on tape coming out the club feeling on some girl's booty. And her husband came out and basically did an interview with Tasha K. If you haven't seen the interview, go check it out, where he talks about how he filed for divorce, how and how she hasn't seen their daughter, and put her on blast about how she hasn't seen her daughter, like, and apparently is doing this for attention. He posted posted on Instagram where he says, I hope something along the lines of, I hope you got the attention that you wanted. I hope it was worth it because you ain't seen your daughter. And how she hasn't seen her daughter in a while. And I'm like, sis, I was shocked because it's usually the moms that are out here blasting these dudes for being deadbeats. So I want to know what sis has to say, because if my man put me on blast for being a deadbeat mom, I'd be copping back real quick. I will be coming back with receipts. Because ain't nobody somebody gonna call me a deadbeat mom and say that I don't take care of my own kids. And that's my husband. Now, it got me to thinking, if this man is filing for divorce, it's much more than a booty grab. So I don't see nobody filing for divorce over a booty grab. I don't know. Like, y'all tell me what y'all think. Would you file for divorce if your significant other was caught getting their booty rubbed on or rubbing on booty? Like, would you file a divorce? Because if he's filing for divorce, it's much more than that. They've slept together.
I think it is.
They've slept together. This is much more than just like.
Well, I don't know his motive, but I just think it's totally irresponsible.
Him just copping a little, but like being a little drunk and copping a feel. And I feel for Daria because that's got to be embarrassing. Like your man being caught on tape rubbing on another girl's butt. But I hope like she doesn't do what Tiny did.
Whether or not President Trump accepts it or not. And you know, listening there to the president-elect, you kind of
like I hope she don't do what Tiny did. Like Tiny, she's basically all over the internet, kind of embarrassing herself, like calling herself like talking about I'm teaching bad bitch classes, and this is like, sweetie, how you out here talking about you teaching bad bitch classes when your man is out here on Instagram rubbing on younger women's booties? Like having a full life midlife, like T.I. out here having a full midlife crisis in front of the whole world. But you got the audacity to be posting pictures talking about you teaching bad bitch classes, but your man's cheating on you. Make that make sense. I know some of y'all probably aren't fans. I know some of y'all probably aren't fans of Tasha K. Like somebody left the live immediately as soon as I mentioned Tasha K. Like, I know she's a little polarizing, especially since the interview she did with Jaguar Wright, in which she basically just was just sitting there looking at her like the crazy auntie who doesn't take her medication because she hears voices and thinks the government is trying to take over her mind or something like that. But people gotta understand, like she's like this because of what happened to her. And that's the thing, like mental health within the Black community isn't taken very seriously. Like if somebody is going through a mental health issue, we'll just be like, oh, she needs Jesus. You have a mental health problems, go to church. And it's a shame that there's a stigma against going to a psychiatrist, going to a psychologist, and seeking help. But anyways, like I said, there's gotta be more to the story than him just rubbing on homegirl's booty like that. And people were like,
Some of these problems may happen more often when Opdivo is used with Yervoy. See your doctor right away if you
he basically just said in his interview, like, how are you going to stand there and let yourself be sexually assaulted like that?
Excessive thirst, changes in urine or eyesight.
And you knew there were people around. Like how are you gonna blame your wife for being sexually assaulted? If you viewed that's what happened, if you feel like that's what happened to her, then that's not her fault. If you feel like she was being sexually abused by Ken, you wouldn't divorce her. You wouldn't fault her for that. You would tell her, yo, you need to press charges. Don't let no dude handle you like that. That's not your man. And let him get away with it.
Consumer Cellular is also an approved AARP provider, so members get exclusive discounts. Discover wireless that gives you everything you need for less.
But a lot of people are saying that they're both out here clout chasing because he's out here doing a whole entire interviews, doing Instagram lives about this situation. And like I said, there's so much stigma in the Black community about seeking mental health, treatments. And you could tell that this is wearing on this man mentally because his wife was just caught on camera allowing some guy to fill up on her like that. And like I said, if they're getting a divorce, there's much more to the story. Like, you don't get like who gets a divorce over somebody allowing another person to grab them on their butt? I get that's disrespectful and everything. That is disrespectful.
They'll get emergency medical care, food, and shelter.
But I get the logic behind it. But also, I'm starting to understand the logic behind it. Like, if she's allowing this man to rub on her booty, she's probably allowed him to do other things.
63 cents a day.
And if that's your husband and you love him, and he claims that he built this girl up to be what she is, and he told her to cut her hair, and he told her how to dye her hair, that he taught her how to get the bag. I don't know how true that is because she's not speaking on it.
So act now to get yours today. It's a season of great.
But I feel bad for Daria. I've never seen their YouTube channel before. But I just feel so bad for her.
Are you managing your diabetes using?
Because even if he was drunk, it's probably what it was. He was probably drunk.
You can choose to be notified.
And dudes be getting handsy when they get a little liquor on them. That's not making excuses for what he did.
You can do it without finger sticks. Learn more at freestylelibre2.us.
Like I said, I saw the Tasha K interview that he did. I didn't watch the whole thing though. I couldn't. I just felt so bad for him.
Call 1-800-831-3700.
I felt so bad for him.
Many families are left grieving the loss of a loved one that they're never going to be able to hold or hug again. 12-year-old Aiden Self lived in New Mexico, and he is now one of the state's youngest victims to die from coronavirus. Evelyn Wolf is Aiden's older sister. She is with us now. Evelyn, I am so sorry. Your family you've had something taken from you.
So now we're going to talk about the orange-headed idiot. We're going to talk about the Cheeto in Chief. We're going to talk about that KFC bucket built idiot we know as our soon-to-be former president. In about, 70-something days? Yes. America has spoken. And now he's finally getting it. America has spoken. America no longer wants your ass. Okay?
I mean, his smile is
screwing up this country.
Just in the photos that you've given to us.
Because tell you the truth, this man didn't know what the hell he was doing anyways. Anytime you ask Donald Trump what his plans for the economy were, he's like, we have a beautiful plan. We have a tremendous plan. We have a wonderful plan. And we're just like, Donnie, what's the plan? What's the plan, Donnie? Anyways, so Donald Trump finally conceded after his daughter, Ivanka Trump, was begging him behind the scenes to just give it up. Just quit. Just concede. Please.
My brother and my dad are both okay. Come Sunday, they were both in ICU. My dad got released earlier this week, thankfully. But Sunday,
so privately,
brother went in they tested him, he tested
So
positive.
publicly,
All this
Ivanka was
medical
basically
issues
telling her
managed at
dad,
that point, but
to
come
keep
Monday,
going,
his,
that this is a
left
mockery
lung collapsed
of our
and his right
democracy,
lung
that my
fell
dad
out,
didn't win, and all this other
everything
stuff. And it's
we
like,
was
girl, bye.
4 o'clock on Tuesday morning.
Donald Trump even had the
They
nerve
called my mom, said, hey, you need to get down
to
here.
cry
She asked if I
fraud,
could go with her. At first they were like, no.
to say there's an election fraud going on. There's fraud. He even
My mom, we were leaving because we had.
He even had the nerve to file
That
lawsuits.
we were getting tested that day as well as me and
His stupid egghead ass had the nerve to file lawsuits.
So we were leaving. Somebody came running down. Told us
Donald
to
Trump
have a
sued
hotel. We got
Pennsylvania
chose Comfort Care.
and ordered them to do a
And,
recount. The Pennsylvania court threw
my
out the
mom didn't get
lawsuit,
dressed fast enough, so I
and
went to the room and held my brother's hand
the mayor of Philly even said, Donnie, put your big boy pants on and realize that you
You
lost.
mentioned, Evelyn, that your family has a lot of medically sensitive kids.
Yeah.
You know, there are a lot of kids in your family, and just to explain to people a little bit more about your family adopts kids who are medically fragile, which is what happened with the case of Aiden and his twin brother, who we understand is doing fine. He was a preemie, he was blind, and your family adopted him at 7 months old. You had him until he was 12. You know, when we talk with people who are thinking about the risks of what it means to protect other people,
So finally,
Americans, other people in the world,
Donald
or
Trump
they're
tweets,
taking
after
the risk
months
that
of Donald
they'll
Trump
protect other people.
tweeting, I've won the election.
Like your dad, who doesn't have a choice, who has to work.
And people around Donald Trump talking about the media has no right to call an election, saying Fox News doesn't call an election,
Actually,
MSNBC doesn't call an election, CNN doesn't call an election.
And I've seen that a lot because I'm trying to stay off of all the media forums.
And now all of a sudden, Donald Trump and his cabinet are against Fox News because they finally have stopped drinking the Kool-Aid and finally understand that this man is a nut job.
And that's the whole thing. It can affect anybody, whether you are healthy, whether you do have the underlying conditions. What I really want people to think about is, yeah, you might be okay right now.
His son Donald Jr. is still encouraging him to fight. Good old Donnie Jr. is still encouraging him to fight. If you don't know who Donald Jr. is, Donald Jr. is a short, dark-haired one who had an affair with Aubrey O'Day. If you don't know who Aubrey O'Day is, Aubrey is from the band Danny Kane. After Danny Kane broke up, she did a stint on The Apprentice. And homegirl was spilling tea. Okay. We're gonna talk about the tea Aubrey was spilling on her Instagram, talking about Ivanka, might be in the closet, and that she might like girls. Donald Trump Jr. smashed Miss America.
Losing someone you love.
I mean, which probably isn't far-fetched, because them pageant girls, some of them are a little wild.
That you think of that are just so Aiden to you.
Some of them pageant girls, they cannot take.
Kansas City Chiefs all the way. He would wear his hat. He'd wear his shirt every Sunday. And he didn't verbalize the same way as we do, of course, because he was medically fragile and he did have those conditions.
No, because some of them pageant girls, they can't take the stress and the pressure of having to be virtually perfect. So some of them wild out a little bit. So the fact that Donald Trump Jr. may have smashed Miss America, I wouldn't doubt it.
The most amazing thing.
I mean, his dad is the owner of the Miss America pageant. His family owns the Miss USA pageant. His family owns the Miss Universe pageant. So I wouldn't have doubted that Donald Trump Jr. smashed one or two pageant
That
contestants.
I personally have with him.
You probably told them, look,
Reminding everybody, I'm like, just think of those little things that y'all have.
if you go out with me,
Well, Evelyn,
I can
sounds like
ensure
a
that you
beautiful
win
person.
Miss America. He
Clearly
probably told them
has
girls. He
so
was
much
probably
life ahead of him.
backstage with them
And
girls,
we
telling them,
we thank you so much
if you go out
for
with me, I'll
the
make sure you
the most
win.
difficult thing you will ever be in the middle
And they
of.
probably believed
Thank you
him.
for taking the time to talk to us.
He probably got plenty pageant punani.
I truly appreciate
So I believe it.
Once again, Mike
Donald Trump Jr. just seems
not
just
necessarily yourself, but who the person
seems
wants
like a
to
shorter clone of his daddy. I can see Donald Trump Jr. backstage at the Miss America pageants
Evelyn, thank you.
telling them
We'll
girls
be right back.
that if you drop them draws, I can make sure you win. He probably knows what he was telling them. He probably told them if they gave up the cookie, they would win. And they probably fell for it.
Insurance to get it done right away. USAA. What you're made of, we're made for.
I'm surprised there's not going to be a documentary called Surviving Donald Trump Jr.
Get the food you love for the perks. Love what you love. Between
I'm surprised
there's a bridge.
that these pageant girls came out and said that they were sexually harassed by Donald Trump Jr. and probably Eric Trump.
Keeping them safe, private, and secure. There's WebEx.
And Ivanka probably got on the action too.
Hi, my name is Sam Davis.
Because that whole family just seems weird to me.
Available to anyone with Medicare. Many plans provide broad coverage and still may save you money on monthly premiums and prescription drugs. With Original Medicare, you're covered for hospital stays and doctor office visits, but you have to meet a deductible for each, and then you're still responsible for 20% of the cost. Next,
Speaking of the Trump family,
let's look at a Medicare supplement plan.
we're going to talk about Melania Trump
Same things as Original Medicare, and they also cover your Medicare deductibles
and these leaked tapes from her former best friend, basically talking about how she hates Christmas.
Now, let's take a look at Humana's Medicare.
She hates all the duties that she had to perform as first lady,
doctor office visits, and
like
Medicare deductibles.
hanging out with the kids at the Christmas Eve parties and the tree decorating, and I'm not surprised
In fact,
because Melania does not seem like the warmest person in the world. Because if you've seen her speak publicly, she never smiles. She never seems happy to be there. She's just giving very much like, when is this shit over? Like, I'm giving you
with a $0 copay. You get all this for as low as a $0.
When she wore a jacket, when she wore that infamous jacket to the border that says, I don't give a F-U-C-K, that's what she meant. She don't give a damn about none of that shit. And you can tell by her face that she don't like other people's kids.
And to get our free decision guide.
So I'm not surprised that she said what she said. She basically said, I hate decorating these damn trees. She's like, I hate having to hand out candy and shit to these little crumb snatchers. She's just like, I am over this shit. Like, every single time you see Melania, her face just gives me, I'm over this shit. And subconsciously, she ain't tried hard enough to get her husband reelected. What cost Donald Trump the election is his poor stance on the economy, his wife's resting bitch face, okay? Because first ladies are supposed to be warm, they're supposed to be kind, they're supposed to at least pretend to like America, you know?
No matter what's going on around us.
Donald Trump needs to understand there's a couple of things that cost him the election. his horrible. The way he handled the pandemic was absolutely horrible. At first, this man says that the pandemic wasn't even real. That it was a hoax. It's like, really, that the Democrats cooked up. So you're telling me the Democratic Party has enough juice to call up other Democratic leaders and say, hey, you know what would be dope? If we cooked up a worldwide pandemic and scared the shit out of everybody. Yeah.
And here's the latest from CNN reporters around the globe.
President Cuckoo Bird needs a couple of days in the insane asylum. He needs a couple of days in the loony bin. He needs to take a sabbatical because he's lost his ever loving. Well, let's talk about Melania's resting bitch face. Because every time she's on the campaign trail, you can just tell she don't want to be there.
At the very height of the first wave, and so these
I'm gonna tell. She's like, I'm gonna take 20 minutes to tell y'all why y'all should vote for my husband, and then I'm gonna take my ass back home. You know, Melania is probably happy that he lost. Melania is probably jumping for joy right now that Donald Trump lost the election, so she ain't gotta deal with having to do that White House Easter egg roll ever again in life because she looked like she hated it. I mean, you could tell. You can tell she hated doing the White House Easter egg roll. You can tell she hated those Christmas parties. She hated every single thing that had to do with being First Lady.
We have seen the number of newly confirmed cases and deaths.
You can tell that she wanted to leave. You can tell she was over at day one. Moment one. When she was smacking Donald Trump's hand away. She was like, you ignoramus, you got me into the shit. I have to deal with all of these people and their kids.
Today is the day.
She gives me Cruella de Vil vibes. She gives me very much Disney villain.
Our availability and distribution. Those concerns amplified
Hey, this woman hates
in the presidential transition.
She already told y'all her first priority is being a mom. She already told y'all she don't want to be First Lady. What she want to do is she want to be at home with Barron. Okay, she don't want to deal with us. Okay, she wants to be at home with Barron, making cookies, helping him out with his homework. She don't want to be First Lady. And then when she talk about, oh, my platform is cyberbullying. How are you gonna stop cyberbullying when you can't even keep your husband from calling women fat?
By visiting our website or calling this number.
When this man is literally shaped like a bucket of KFC.
Every new donor we get.
This man's literally shaped like a bucket of Popeyes that calls other people fat.
And give them the warmth of loving arms. With your support,
make that make sense. How you gonna call somebody fat?
Food and shelter.
And you look like you about 10 months pregnant. Make that make fucking sense. Like, yo, how are you gonna call a woman fat when you got like 5 chins? And you can barely fit any of your suits. See, Donald Trump hates Obama because Obama can actually fit his clothes.
From people that care, that really is the engine that keeps us going.
I'd be hating too. If my clothes, if I was constantly wearing clothes that didn't fit me. It's like, dude, you a billionaire and your clothes don't even fit. How you got billions of dollars and can't even afford a good tailor?
It's a season of great suffering. Too many.
By the way, I'm drinking my mango tea from Sheets.
This is it. Please go online or call now.
It's like, make that make sense. The mirrors in the White House must not work that well.
But we didn't stop there. We made a cloud flexible enough to adapt to any size business.
The mirrors in the White House must not be working.
Or how it changes
Those shoes Donald Trump was wearing do not fit him very well. They must have ran out of fabric.
We stop at nothing. Sunday, November 29th.
I am the only woman who has ever been invited.
Lisa Ling is back.
He probably eats his feelings. That was how I would eat my feelings too if I probably had a wife that probably behind closed doors that calls me a fat bastard.
These guys have time on camping stuff, giving them an opportunity to physically let go of it.
This is Mark with Lisa Ling. Back-to-back episodes, November 29th at 9 on CNN.
Many of our community's unsung heroes sacrifice so much to serve others, yet find
I mean, think about it.
needs to heat their own homes this winter.
There's probably like unreleased tapes of Melania cussing out Donald Trump behind his back.
We'll provide a family in need with a brand new complete HVAC system at absolutely no cost to them. Nominate a deserving friend, family member, or neighbor on Facebook or FHR.com and help us make it a December to remember.
Funk, turn the temperature down.
Turning down the temperature, Dad.
Funk, lock the doors.
Locking doors.
Funk, dim the lights.
Dimming lights.
Good night, honey.
Good night.
But let's talk about Joe Biden. Joe Biden came through with the shade. Joe Biden came through with the shade. He said the U.S. government has ways of getting trespassers out of the White House. In other words, if you don't want to get your KFC bucket built ass out of my house, Secret Service will throw you out. And I know the Secret Service will be happy to throw him out after he was constantly risking their lives
Trump has invited Michigan state lawmakers to the
with
White
his
House
little
to
parades.
meet with him just 2 hours from now.
It's like, how selfish can you be? You just caught the Rona, and you're gonna be riding around in a car with other people with your mask off. And that is the biggest FU if I've ever heard of it.
Just outside of Washington. Now, both Shirky and Chatfield had both said previously that they will honor Biden's win, but that was before the pressure campaign from Trump. The White House press secretary today trying to brush off.
Speaking of Joe Biden,
claiming that the president,
Georgia has recounted their votes.
That's what she said. So we're just supposed to
And
it's a coincidence that the president is also
Joe Biden won.
to invite Republican state legislators from Pennsylvania to the White House, another state where the president has baselessly claimed election fraud, where there is no evidence of that. I want to get straight down to CNN's Caitlin Collins at the White House. I mean, Caitlin, it's like, I'm not sure that they think we're stupid. It's more that they don't really care that anyone is watching what they're doing. What can you tell us about this meeting today and about what we're seeing perhaps in Pennsylvania with Pennsylvania lawmakers?
Well, I think it's plainly obvious for everyone to see why the president is inviting these lawmakers here. And I think the lawmakers, these legislators are aware of what is going on and why they're being invited to the White House only days before their state is set to certify Joe Biden's win and make it official. And so if you want to look at what the White House thinks of this, you saw Kayleigh McEnany say earlier it's not an advocacy meeting, but of course this comes only days before that deadline. This was not put on the president's official schedule. Instead, we found out about it through reporting and hearing from these legislators in the state, and now we know that they are considering inviting more to this meeting. So the one that's happening today with the Michigan legislators, we're told that Kayleigh McEnany said earlier that no one.
It's like, Donnie, that's not proof that this election is legitimate. I don't know what to tell you. Somebody please tell Donald J. Trump that Joe Biden won fair and square. Can somebody please tell Donnie that come January he's being evicted? Okay, just like he evicted all of those black people out of his buildings, him and his daddy evicted countless black people out of their buildings in New York.
they said that they believe
Will you
that
please
Trump
tell
came in
somebody?
and was like,
Please, we
"You're
need to tell
bad,
Donald
the
Trump he's
president
fired.
will regain his lead and win those states." When that didn't happen, they turned to litigation, and we've
The
seen
whole
that they have
the whole
lost
country.
or withdrawn
He's in
President
shock
Gonzalez
right
in over
now
24 laws
because he
since
honestly
the day of
thought
the election. So those are fizzling. So now the president is turning
his
to
core
try to
supportors
put
were
pressure
enough
on these state legislators
to get him
The
reelected.
question, is how did they respond to this? Do they go through?
It's like what he
the
needs to
president and his
understand
allies
is
are really pushing, which is to try to get them to
Joe
override
Biden
the
won
will of the voters.
because he has
So these are all these
experience.
different steps the
Joe
president is
Biden
taking. Of
won
course, the ultimate question is,
because he
when
said
is
he's
he
going to
finally
be
gonna
the
get
president
this
for
through
all the
and himself
people
publicly
and
acknowledge
not
the
just the
reality, which is that Joe
conspiracy
Biden has
theory
lost
ridden weirdos that
Biden
live in the
racing
recesses
yesterday
of the
traveling from a
internet,
coronavirus
that
hotspot,
hate
well,
black
moving to another
people, that
coronavirus
hate
hotspot, the
brown
White House.
people, that
Caitlin
hate anyone
Collins,
that
thank you
looks
so much for
different
that
from
report.
them.
The president and his allies,
Okay?
as Caitlin mentioned there,
Donald
they
Trump
lost
needs
key
to
cases in
understand
Arizona, Pennsylvania, and Georgia on Thursday. President
that
Trump
with
right
all
now
his
is
race
chief of 31 of the
baiting,
courts, and one of the president's biggest supporters, Iowa Senator Joe
with all
Manchin, is
his
speaking out
calling
about the wild accusation Trump's legal team
real
made yesterday that
patriots,
candidates were
the ones that
paid
are
to
standing
have their
up for the
elections
rights of all people, SOBs. It's like, dude, you should have been the president. It's like, dude, you should have been the president for all the people and not just your race baiting weirdos that live in the dark corners of the internet that are insinuating that some BS race war is going to happen. It's like, dude, black people do not want to take over the world. Okay, despite what these weirdos want to think, black folks have no interest in taking over the world. Okay, we have no interest in that shit. All we want to do is to be able to walk around without being bothered. Okay, I'm so sick and tired of these race baiting freaking trolls trying to scare people into believing that black people are trying to take over the world or some shit. We're not trying to take over the world. We're not interested in that shit. All we want is to be able to walk down the street in freaking peace without being bothered.
Well, Dana Bash and I have been talking to people who either have spoken with the president, are friends of the president, and understand the kind of what's going on inside. And I can tell you that the president has dug in. One piece of the reporting is that he sees this as payback to Democrats who never really legitimized his election, he believes. So he's throwing this back.
It's like, damn, we can't even shop at Walmart in peace.
Is from a source
or Target. There was a video that surfaced of the cops throwing a black man out of Walgreens. And all the man was doing was minding his own business. That's all we want. Is all we want to do is go into a damn Walgreens without being thrown out by the cops. All we want is to be able to go into a damn Starbucks without being harassed.
I've got more than 70 million people behind me, and that is all that matters. And so there's no way around this. And one thing that I was thinking as you were talking to Caitlin over there is, all during the Mueller reporting, remember we asked the question, can a president really obstruct justice out loud in public? Can he do that publicly? And the answer was, well, yes. And then the question is, here now, we are seeing the president openly trying to steal
all we want
right before our very eyes. And there's nothing
all we want is to be
that
able to
because nobody in that White House
park our cars in a Walmart parking lot. Oh, some nut job hopping out with a gun, threatening to kill us over a parking space.
There's a growing number of lawmakers who are acknowledging that. They're criticizing the president publicly.
All we want is to stop being fired from our jobs because of the texture or the style of our hair.
I don't know, some of his criticism is tepid, right? He says that Trump has a high bar to prove fraud. You have Texas Congresswoman Kate Ranger who says it's time to move on. I mean, you look at these, like I said, this pushback is like, it's like a slow approach, but it's still important, right? Because they're worried about the blowback that they would get from President Trump and right-wing media. What are you seeing right now when you're trying to assess how Republicans are responding to this?
I mean, Brenda, I'm watching Republicans begin very slowly to try to coalesce around a position that moves the needle, but we're waiting and watching to see how President Trump responds, what the White House lawyers are able to cause President Trump to do, and what happens with these certifications, right? I mean, if Georgia certifies today, if some of these other certifications happen between now and Thanksgiving as they're supposed to, the issue will be resolved so that these Republicans don't have to get involved. And we have some new reporting just in, my colleague Jonathan Swan at the White House, reporting about some of the particulars around this afternoon's meeting.
Moving along, we're going to talk about one of our favorite holidays, Thanksgiving. Now, the new reports just came out.
Not inside the counsel's office, but
it said that you can't have more than 10 people in your house. If you do, you have to. You also have to have the windows open.
But someone, a lawyer, should be present from the campaign to help the president navigate the guardrails of what's appropriate to say.
And they also recommend that you have outdoor gatherings if it's warm enough where you live. But you already know these conspiracy theory nut jobs are going to claim that it's the Democrats trying to infringe on their freedom.
He's been exposed to COVID. Many advisors don't want Rudy Giuliani to be the one asking the president about how to proceed here anyway. And then a whole conversation about, well, who is safe? Who can be safe for certain, has not been exposed to COVID, who could go in and help guide the parameters of that meeting. So that's the situation as we head toward this unofficial, unscheduled, non-agenda meeting where we all have a general sense of what the agenda might be.
Yeah, right. And I mean, at this point, it probably maybe someone is now ironically wondering what they could have done to try to prevent the spread of COVID at the White House and among associates of the White House. Gloria?
Well, if Karen McEnany says this isn't an advocacy session, and of course we don't believe that at all because it's not true. And because why would you need a lawyer there if it was just a meet and greet? For some reason, he just decided to have a meet and greet with these Republican legislators. I mean, this is an advocacy session. It is election interference. I don't know, I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know the legal sense of that term, but I'm just watching a president of the United States try and overturn an election.
But you already know you're going to have people that are going to ignore the orders.
Which is remarkable. And they can't figure out who
have 20 people in their house
because they've got COVID, and because a lot of the people, as Margaret was just saying, don't want Rudy Giuliani in there.
I mean, anyway, you just hear these horror stories from these nurses. It's like, how could you not believe this thing is real after hearing these horror stories from these nurses saying that they are being cussed out by their patients?
But I think we need to hear from more people.
There are people sick in the hospital dying from this disease who don't even believe it's real. And they're on their deathbeds, screaming and cussing at their nurses that they don't have the Rona.
Well, the president is going through his theater of trying to overturn the election.
And that it's a hoax.
You know, certainly we hope that's all it is just theater and him, being able
After
to
hearing that, why wouldn't you wear a mask? To me, it's ridiculous that these people are protesting against wearing a mask, saying that it goes against their civil liberties and their rights, and I can't breathe. It's like, are you kidding me?
Recalling this money from the CARES Act that is supposed to help small businesses, and you look at it,
and you've got people out here literally on their deathbed, screaming and cussing at nurses, saying this isn't real. I don't have it. When that nurse was on CNN telling that story, I wanted to cry. It's like, are you kidding me?
But I do think you see a clue in the fact that in recent days,
just wear the damn mask.
We've seen
take it off when you get in your car.
Outward advocacy in the business community.
Wear it when you're going to McDonald's and you're picking up your Big Mac, your medium fries, your sweet tea. Wear it when you're going to Walmart. Pick up what you need to pick up real quick and come back outside and take that thing off. It's not hard. I swear, some of these people that are protesting wearing a mask sound like children. They sound like a bunch of defiant
We're in this
children.
breach without stimulus money. This is a precarious
These are people's
situation.
lives at
People are
stake.
waiting for a resolution so that
People are out here politicizing babies
try to find
dying.
some space in the middle to do the right thing for the country. So any moves.
You got idiots out here that will see a story on the news of a 12-year-old dying from C-19 and saying that it's a hoax. See, it's a hoax that somebody lost their life. Make that make sense.
Certainly. Gloria, Margaret, thank you so much to both of you. I appreciate the conversation. And next, an alarming new model projects nearly 500,000 Americans could die from coronavirus by March. And CNN's Dr. Sanjay Gupta just sat down with White House Task Force member Dr. Deborah Birx, why she thinks that folks are not following the guidance on masks. Plus, Pfizer filing today to get emergency use authorization for its vaccine. A look at the timeline for when
We had a South Dakota governor
later, environmental activists
who says she refuses to issue a mask mandate.
Over one of the people that is on President-elect Biden's transition team.
Making statements like, "Oh, we're free." Free from what? Free to get C-19 and wind up on a ventilator? Is that what you want? The cognitive dissonance with some people is just ridiculous. You are literally seeing people on ventilators, talking to their families, telling them goodbye. But you don't want to believe this shit is real. I wear my mask when I go out. I most definitely wear my mask. Anyways.
Get the food you love with perks from Love What You Love.
Bipolar depression. It's a dark, lonely place. This is art inspired by real stories of people living with bipolar depression. Emptiness.
Anyways, on a lighter note,
The lows of bipolar depression can disrupt your life and be hard to manage.
I know all the Grey's Anatomy fans are happy because McDreamy is coming back. That's right, Patrick Dempsey, aka McDreamy, released a statement through E! News in which she said he just had a talk with Shonda Rhimes, and Shonda just asked him to come back. He said he was having lunch with Shonda, they was reminiscing about the good times he hadn't seen her about a year, and all of a sudden she says, "Do you want to come back to the show?"
This is where I want to be.
So Shonda knows the show ain't shit without McDreamy.
Looking for in your bipolar depression symptoms.
Okay, if you ain't got McDreamy and McHottie, nobody's watching.
Our expertise to make the world.
Let's face it, people watch the show for McDreamy and McHottie.
More than ever. We will never stop easing the burden on patients and frontline.
Okay, what do y'all watch? Which characters do y'all watch the show for?
With our state-of-the-art mobile X-ray and ultrasound systems. We will never stop accelerating clinical trials of our own antiviral drug. We're also supplying critical raw materials for vaccine and drug development and readying our specialized facilities to scale up production to help our partners.
Okay, since we're talking about TV news, HBO
At Fujifilm, our commitment to healthcare didn't start with COVID-19.
is broadcasting for free a Fresh Prince reunion. So I know all my 80s babies are definitely happy about that.
Value from innovation.
No.
If you're on Medicare, remember, the annual enrollment period is here. The time to choose your coverage ends.
And Will is even, so it's basically like,
United Healthcare and take advantage of a wide choice of
it's not
including an AARP Medicare
a show per se. They're not it's not
doctor coverage with prescription drug coverage and more. All for
them coming back. It's not a continuation of the Fresh Prince, and I know a lot of people were hoping for like a continuation of the Fresh Prince, of them all coming back, and like years later, Will's married to Lisa and having kids, and you see, what little Nikki's doing. It's not that. It's basically just
you see any doctor who accepts Medicare
them all sitting on the original set
December 7th. Call United Healthcare.
and giving you the tea of what happened during the Fresh Prince.
Closed captioning brought to you by Sokolov Law. Call 800-891-5400.
There's also episodes. There's one episode that's on YouTube, so you can watch it, where Will talks about. But if you don't have it on, if you don't have HBO, you can watch it on here. And Will talks about his audition at Benny Medina's house. I know a lot of y'all want to know about the tea about Will Smith and Benny Medina. Word on the street is
Giuliani, who is a special assistant to the president and is of course
Will,
Giuliani, the president's attorney,
was engaged in some things with Benny Medina. Okay, and we all know how Hollywood gets down. Okay, there's some weird. They don't call it Hollywood for no reason. So I know a lot of y'all were thinking that Will was going to spill the tea on him and Benny's real relationship. Not gonna happen. Not going to happen. Will Smith is not going to ruin his career. We all know Benny Medina, is still the gatekeeper of Hollywood. Okay, Benny Medina still makes things happen for people.
That's a really hard thing.
That man still has power over Will Smith's career. So if you think he was going to, I know a lot of people were hoping that he was going to spill the tea
The patient that they were thinking about you.
about the things that he had to do in order to get his foot into the acting industry. He's not.
475,000 total deaths in the United States by March 1st. The Institute for Health Metrics.
I know y'all were thinking
95% of Americans wore
he was
masks
going to
regularly. 65,000 lives could be saved. 65,000.
I know a lot of y'all are thinking and hoping that he was going to expose the industry and out Benny Medina. No, he's not. Let me tell you something. Will Smith, it just looks to me like Will Smith hopes to be the next gatekeeper of the industry.
They're not perfect, but when we tell them they prevent transmission, and then we close the spaces where people are 100% masked, and we open the spaces where the people are unmasked, which we know is a transmission area, that's confusing to the American people. I understand why it's confusing.
But something that did happen is that he finally apologizes to Aunt Viv, the original Aunt Viv. Okay, we all know the tea about that. Janet Hubert basically went on Instagram Live and spilled the whole tea about how Will and his ego basically kicked her off the show because she refused to bow down to Will Smith.
By March 1st. So you're talking about.
She was just like, I'm grown. What I look like kissing the ass of a kid? And back when the Fresh Prince first came out, Will Smith was a kid. He was 17 years old. She's like, what do I look like kissing the ass of some kid?
This is such a critical time that we're in. We do not have a vaccine yet. What do people need to know?
And because
good afternoon, Brianna.
Uncle Phil and Carlton and Ashley
and also still talk about masks. We shouldn't even really be talking about masks.
and the actor that plays Hillary, Karen Parsons, were willing to play the game and were willing to play nice with Will. They kept their jobs. I understood. Okay, this is Benny Medina's chosen boy. Okay, this is his star. He didn't have to go through the audition process like the rest of us. This is Benny's golden boy. And if we piss him off, there's going to be repercussions. Janet wasn't willing to play those games. She's like, no. She's like, I'm a well-respected actress. I have years in this industry under my belt, and I'll be damned if I have to kiss the ass and feet of some child. And I'm with her on that.
And everybody should be wearing a mask.
I mean, people just aren't listening to that, Dr. Matthew. I just interviewed.
And a lot of people are going to say, well, Will was a kid at the time.
His brother, at 12 years old,
Yeah, he was a kid at the time.
To die of COVID in New Mexico.
And probably didn't really and let the fame and the fact that he was Benny's golden boy get to his head. And that's probably what he told her. I didn't see the actual apology, but I'm gonna watch it and do another live stream about it.
Even when we see stories like that, it seems like it's not getting.
But one of the things probably said was, "Oh,
I think that ultimately, people need to realize is that just because you don't know,
I was a kid at the time. Probably one of the things one of the excuses he probably made was, "Oh, I was a kid at the time. I was only 17 years old. I let all the fame get into my head, and the fact that I was the star of the show, and probably threw in the fact that he didn't have to audition really."
And I think that is especially
And if you watch,
for us to know as people start celebrating holidays.
I think that was like the first episode of the Fresh Prince reunion. He talks about how Benny pushed him through the line, that he didn't have to audition for the show.
Grandmother for Thanksgiving that actually might have COVID.
Okay, everybody else had to audition for the show.
We could actually see the virus. Can you imagine how much easier it would
and everybody else just sat there and they smiled and they're like, yeah, we remember. I would have been like, trying not to seem pissed that they had to work for their part, all while Will's part was literally handed to him by Benny Medina.
For the entirety of its progression through their bodies. Dr. Matthew, great to see you. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you, Brianna.
Next, Kansas City is one of the many cities across the country that is putting new COVID restrictions in place, but one restaurant owner says
Jussie Smollett kind of did shed some light on the whole casting couch. Okay, there was an interview that was conducted on YouTube in which Jussie talks about his audition for Lee Daniels, which is probably the same audition Will Smith did for Benny Medina when he auditioned for The Fresh Prince. Okay, it wasn't a public audition like Karen Parsons, the actress who plays Hillary, and all the rest of the actors had to go through. But it was a private audition. And like I said, Jussie Smollett talks about this. He talks about having to go to a hotel, having to go to the front desk, and ask for Big Daddy. Because if anybody knows, Lee Daniels checks into his hotels under the name Big Daddy. And he jokes about feeling like an escort.
You can join the
having to ask for, having to say, I'm here to see Big Daddy. And you can tell the uncomfortableness in his voice when he said, I'm here to see Big Daddy. Yeah, I would be uncomfortable too.
Travel, housing, or food, because all a family should worry about is helping their child live.
It's not fair.
The only reason why he didn't complain about it is because at that point, he was in his 30s. Nobody was checking for him. Hollywood was not checking for Jussie Smollett at that point. He even said it himself. He was thinking of hanging up his SAG card. Because after he hit puberty, he wasn't getting any roles.
The doctor came to me and he said, Mom,
at least none that actually stuck. Until he hit 30 years old and the opportunity to audition for Empire came. So of course he was not going to throw away his opportunity by saying, hey, if you want me to audition, I'll audition at the studio. But I'm not going to audition in a hotel room with just you and I. And I don't know about you, that sounds very Harvey Weinstein-ish. It just gives me Harvey Weinstein vibes.
Please call or go online at forstjude.org.
That just gives me very much Harvey Weinstein vibes.
Like the lights?
Dim lights.
And the door?
Lock the door.
And of course,
another actor Paula J. and an actress by the name of Paula J. Parker talks about this. She talks about how she was passed over for numerous roles because she refused to audition in hotels and in private offices instead of auditioning at a studio in front of studio executives, like a proper audition is held, which is why she was basically blackballed. I mean, let's call it what it was. Paula J. Parker was blackballed. And Jesse didn't want to get blackballed. Will Smith didn't want to get blackballed. People wonder why Will Smith doesn't speak out on his relationship with Benny Medina. It's because he doesn't want to get blackballed.
Benefits like dental, vision, hearing, and prescription drugs.
Will Smith is just now reviving his career through social media.
Online doctor visits 24/7 and free streaming exercise classes. You can even receive money towards over-the-counter.
Will Smith is in his 50s and now has to use the same route as a lot of these Generation Zers who want to become famous. They become famous by their videos going viral. Okay, that's how Hollywood notices them. And the internet, people need to realize the internet is the new Hollywood. Okay, the internet, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, that's the new Hollywood. The only difference is there's no casting couch. There's no creepy Hollywood executive whose office you have to go to.
Scott Anderson is the co-founder of Riley Drive Entertainment, which
all you have to do is be attractive, be able to dance somewhat, or to be able to copy one of these popular TikTok dances.
Brianna, thank you. I can tell you what I'm expecting is there's a large
that's
the
all.
Casual dining restaurant business right now that's struggling. They barely made it through the first closures. We're faced again with another.
And people wonder why these celebrities or these actors and these singers are running to YouTube, or running to TikTok, or running to Instagram, because the internet is the new Hollywood.
And I have no reasonable expectation that those restrictions will be lifted anytime before March. And
because they know they don't have to do something strange for some change in order to get the bag. There's nobody's casting couch they have to sit on. There's nobody's sausage or eggplant they gotta sit on. That's nothing. All they have to do is create material that's going to go viral. That's it. The internet is complete and total freedom from the industry.
I don't want you or your listeners to think for a minute that
because the industry doesn't run the internet.
Restaurant owners, generally, we believe in the box.
That's why I started doing YouTube.
Believe it's serious.
And one of the reasons why I started doing YouTube is because of the horror stories you hear about the industry.
I think there's a lot of other activities going on right now. I know my kids' sports are still going on, but for some reason, restaurants have taken
all those horror stories don't exactly happen to everybody in the industry. But it's just.
I'm not opposed to all the restaurant restrictions. However, I am opposed to restricting.
But a lot of it does happen to those that.
I think we saw the PPP money on
it made it based off of what it seems to me is it happened to most people who just made it off their looks.
The restaurant industry, I think, needs it as much. As anybody.
So they know they don't have the talent to stand on their own.
Really struggling. I think most restaurant owners, we're not saying we don't want to comply with the restrictions or the shutdowns, but we're saying if we have to, give us some help.
Yeah, and look, we've seen studies that show, there are
like I said, at HBO,
I think
if you want to watch, the Fresh Prince reunion, you're not going to get a lot of tea. Well, at least you're not going to get You're going to get politically correct tea is what you're going to get. You're not going to get anything that's going to be controversial. Okay? You're not going to get anything because a lot of these people are still trying to build careers in Hollywood.
And what do you want lawmakers to know? What are you expecting from them here?
Well, you summarized my point exactly.
I mean, look at the actress that played Hillary.
And so be it. I'm not
Hollywood's not checking for her anymore. She hasn't been on our television screens since she was in those Kid and Play movies. Like after the Fresh Prince, during the Fresh Prince, the only people that were looking to hire her were Kid and Play. Like she wasn't really doing anything on a larger scale. She was doing cult classics.
They're now being asked to shut down again, and this time it's not a brief period of time. It is. We're looking for the next 4 or 5 months living under these restrictions, and I'm telling you, a lot of people, a lot of the restaurant business will not be here come March.
And if they had that assistance, you think they would survive?
Oh, some yes, some would, some won't. I mean, the fact of the matter is, if you've ever owned a business, how do you survive a significant loss of revenue or no revenue for a 5 or 6 month period? I mean, as bad as it is here in Kansas City, we have occupancy restrictions. We have to close at 10 p.m. I mean, I can't imagine what the restaurant owners in Kansas City are facing.
All right, so we're going to talk about Megan Thee Stallion and her new video, Body. I loved Body. I love the concept. I love the black and white, the black and white in terms of her in the outfits, and
we have to try.
Have her having Taraji P hits. We saw all women, and I love the concept of having all women, no matter different with different having all women of different age ranges in the video. She had Taraji P Henson in the video. The DMV's queen was in the video. I was so hyped when I saw a beautiful, gorgeous, red-haired Taraji P Henson in the video for Body, because I already knew Taraji was going to be in one of Megan's videos. When Taraji was all up in Megan's comment section talking about, yes, redheads do it better, I already knew 2 bad bitches were going to link up and create a masterpiece. I already saw it before it happened. I was like, yes, Megan has to put this one in. This is the baddest woman, period. Taraji is the baddest woman, period. Inside and out. She has not let Hollywood change who she is. She seems like she's the realest person in the world.
Make sure I'm in good shape, and it makes me feel pretty good about
and I love the fact that she had Jordan Woods in there. Of course, some people are going to think that she had to. Do y'all think that she had Jordan Woods in her video to spite Kylie? You think she was throwing shade at Kylie? Well, I'm not going to say she's throwing shade at Kylie by having Jordan Woods in the video.
One of the leading causes of stroke, and it can also detect normal heart rhythm, bradycardia, and tachycardia.
She might or she might have not. She might be throwing a little shade Kylie's way by having Jordan in the video.
It's never been more important to check your card at home. Cardio Mobile is now available.
Because after the whole Megan, after Megan was shot in the foot, Kylie and Megan just stopped speaking. Allegedly, they unfollowed each other.
It's in our nature to be flexible.
All of a sudden, Kylie's posting subliminals. After that video surfaced of Travis and Megan having dinner at his house, Kylie posts a pic, and the caption reads, "My house?" Question mark.
Say hello to Hello Medicare, a one-stop shop
saying that her and Travis
including a range of all-in-one Medicare
still share a home together.
From the names you know.
And they're not really broken up.
Learn, compare,
even enroll, all in one place.
Basically, she was. I don't think that was. I think that was shade at Megan, and also her telling the world y'all think we're broken up, but the gag is that's still my man. She's telling the whole world the gag is that's still my man.
They can even differ by where you live. That's why we're here, to put it all together and be your go-to place for all the latest information laid out right
Now, Kylie Angle is not the type to come out and say, that's my baby daddy. I'm always going to have access to that BBC, and I'm going to sit on it whenever I want to. She's not going to come out and say it. She's not going to come out and say it. That's my man. That's going to forever be my man. Okay, we've got soul ties. Okay, and people need to understand that when you sleep with someone, especially if you have a child with them, you've got permanent soul ties. Do you think you got rid of that woman just because you ain't married her? You think just because y'all have a baby together and y'all ain't married, you think you've gotten rid of that woman? You haven't. Ladies, if you think you've gotten rid of that man that you had a baby with but you don't like no more, you ain't getting rid of him. Number one, y'all have a baby together. It's like number one, y'all slept together. Number two, y'all created a life together. You ain't never getting away from him. You ain't never getting away from her. And that's what Kylie is basically saying to Travis with that picture. You ain't never getting away from me. You can have as many dinners as you want with Megan Thee Stallion. You always gonna be mine.
Prescription drug prices. We're actually not going to bring this to you unless he starts answering questions. He hasn't been seen or really hasn't.
I also think Megan put
spoken publicly out loud
Jordan in the video because Jordan's a bad bitch.
Obviously, if he's asked some important
Jordan is a bad, problematic bitch.
Trying to mess with the election results.
Jordan don't do nothing but literally sit and eat her food.
In the meantime, let's talk about something that
Jordan,
right now they're pulling back nearly $500 billion earmarked for businesses struggling in the pandemic.
I don't understand why people were dragging Jordan Woods. Like she did, like the tape clearly showed Tristan kissing her. She did not kiss him. But they wanted to create a whole entire episode about
would prefer that the full suite of emergency facilities
Jordan supposedly kissing,
important role as a backstop for our still strained and vulnerable economy. This is such important stuff we're watching on
kissing Tristan, and it's like, sis, you flipping out over a kiss, but you took this man from his pregnant girlfriend. Make that make sense. You took this man from his pregnant girlfriend, but you want to get mad because he out here kissing other women, or other women kissing him. Like, sweetie, he wanted to get caught.
But even so, there's no reason why he's asked for the money back. Especially,
I don't even know why she would even think about taking him back after he cheated on her.
Instead, no, this is all about politics. This is about
he wanted to get caught. It's like, sis, he has a history of leaving his pregnant girlfriends. It's like, sweetie, you already know this because you took him from Jordy while she was pregnant with their son Prince. So you already know. It's like, I don't feel. It's like, it's so funny to me that the whole world feels bad for Chloe. It's like, what you feeling bad for her for? She knows how that man gets down. She probably thought she was literally the baddest bitch for taking him from his pregnant girlfriend.
I guess I sort of wonder, this to me reeks of like.
But they always want to talk about girl code, girl power, empowering women, all this other stuff, and being positive. It's like, how you be positive taking somebody else's man?
I really couldn't have put it better myself. You're right. Because at the end
it's like you girl positive, all right. You positive that you're taking other girls' men. That's what you're positive about doing.
Lending facility. And if suddenly they need it elsewhere. Congress can always.
And Chloe had the nerve to call Jordan a liar, and it's like, girl, it's all on tape. And this man kissed her. It's all on tape. It's all over media takeout. It's all over gossip. The tape doesn't lie, shorty.
To expire at the end of the year anyway, so there'd have to be a reauthorization process going forward. It's mean-spirited and it's being seen for what it is.
Richard, thank you so much.
She doesn't understand. Her mom, maybe her mom just never told her how you get them is how you lose them. If you got him from taking him from a pregnant woman, what do you think is going to happen?
Bipolar depression. It's a dark, lonely place. This is art inspired by real stories of people living with bipolar depression. Emptiness, a hopeless struggle. The lows of bipolar depression can disrupt your life and be hard to manage. Latuda could make a real difference in your symptoms. Latuda was proven to significantly reduce bipolar depression
So
symptoms.
we're going to talk
and in
about
clinical studies had no substantial impact on weight. Now I'm feeling connected, empowered.
Latuda is not for everyone. Call your doctor about unusual mood changes, behaviors, or suicidal thoughts. Antidepressants can increase these in children, teens, and young adults. Elderly dementia patients on Latuda have an increased risk of death or stroke. Call your doctor about fever, stiff muscles.
So we're going to talk about Chris Brown.
Or uncontrollable muscle movements, as these may be permanent.
Okay.
These are not all the serious side effects.
This is where I want to be.
And his new baby mama. Personally, I think the new baby mama, he's going to marry her. I personally think Chris Brown's going to marry this girl. Aiko's mom has got him on the straight and narrow. Okay, Aiko's mom is whipping him into shape. He is slowly becoming the Chris Brown that we used to know and love. And I'm here for it. Because if you notice, he mentions Aiko's mom a lot more than he mentions Royalty's mom. People are saying, well, oh, Chris is single. That man is not single. That man is not single. Because if a man is posting pictures reminiscing about where he met his child's mother, that's very much like some husband and wife type shit. It's very much That's very much some husband and wife type shit. And Chris was also seen posting pictures of him on Instagram with a ring. And we never saw the ring again. So I'm thinking he secretly got married.
I think that's missing something.
I'm thinking he secretly got married. Somewhere. Married.
That's all I don't think it's pretty naughty there.
Excuse me, ladies. You're Martin Sheen. I am. Who's Martin Sheen? The guy who's going to help save your family hundreds of dollars on prescriptions with Single Care. Gotta go.
Silver Fox. On what?
Oh my. Need the price again. Excuse me, sir. Single Care, this gentleman, please.
Let's talk about Bow Wow and how y'all just won't let this man be happy. It's like, yes, we know he's corny. And he knows he's corny. Let the man be corny in peace. Every time that man posts something, I'll be thinking he's suspect just because he's being happy. Let the man be happy. Let him be happy and corny in peace. Let him just run around singing songs and posting on his Instagram page and just let him have his black boy joy. Let him have it.
But there is one person on the Biden transition
Powell literally does nothing to nobody.
And that is Michael McCabe, who was
So if he's corny, let him be corny.
For the Environmental Protection Agency. McCabe was once an aide to then Senator Biden. He is a former deputy administrator of the EPA, but after his time at the agency, worked for the chemical company DuPont in the early 2000s as they came under fire for the use of a toxic man-made chemical called PFOA or C8. It's one of the so-called forever chemicals. DuPont used it in the making of Teflon, and studies have shown it links to various cancers. And unsuspecting Americans whose local water supplies were contaminated with PFOA have paid a heavy price. McCabe also worked on the deal that eventually phased out PFOA. I want to bring in Erin Brockovich, the renowned environmental activist whose involvement in the historic chemical contamination suit against Pacific Gas and Electric. She is joining us to talk more about this. That was a record-breaking settlement, by the way. She's also the author of Superman's Not Coming. It's a book about how people can take action for cleaner water. Erin, thank you for joining us. We saw this op-ed in The Guardian that you wrote, Dear Joe Biden, are you kidding me? I should note, you just tweeted a happy birthday to the president-elect. So you're not someone who would consider yourself, an enemy of Joe Biden's, but you're really not happy with this person that you see on his transition team. So tell me why.
In other news, it's Joe Biden's birthday. It's our president-elect's birthday, so happy birthday to Joe.
As many people
Okay.
do well. And my job has been in the environmental field for over 20
In the words of Kamala,
One chemical
you did it, Joe, you did it.
FOA, known as Teflon or C8, is way more widespread and detrimental, not just global, than I think current administrations or incoming administrations may or may not have a grasp on. This chemical has affected California, Florida, Pennsylvania, Alabama, New Jersey, Ohio, North Carolina, Georgia, Minnesota, Arizona, Massachusetts, Illinois, to startling information coming out from Maine. Yes, it's in our bore water. We have people across this country who are losing their bore water. They're being non-usable. They can't drill new wells. Where are they supposed to get water? We can't clean it out of the water. It's in our aquifers. And I find it very alarming that Michael McCabe, who did work for DuPont in strategic communication, to not get regulations placed on this chemical, delayed us for a decade, and now is on a transition team, and guidance coming from him on how to deal with this, I feel is a total conflict. I feel like the fox is in the house, and I'm very disturbed by that. Look, all these people, thousands, are emailing me. They've been harmed. We're not addressing this. There's no national oversight, and I'm not going to be comfortable having somebody who guided DuPont in a communication to cover it out. Now he's serving on a new administration.
Well, so we asked the Biden transition team about this. They told us in part, Michael McCabe has vast experience and knowledge of the EPA to help the Biden-Harris administration address the challenges facing our country. McCabe has recused himself from any matters involving the Toxic Substances Control Act, which is, of course, what governs PFOA and PFAs, which is, that's sort of, I guess, the umbrella term for PFOA, as well as other chemicals. Does that give you any sort of comfort that he has recused himself from dealing with the Toxic Substances Control Act?
Well, not necessarily. Look, we don't have any national oversight or NCLs on this contamination that is so widespread. And for me, let me say this. I've never been against, and I've often said, we need to work with these companies. And so, but we need transparency. And I have high hopes for a new administration that isn't politics as usual. And now it's been brought into the fold, and now it said, well, he will recuse himself. I don't think he should have any involvement in any say in communications about a chemical that is this widespread, that has been concealed for a long time, and giving me assurance, or all the people assurance, that in fact, the right communication or message will be sent. And so it doesn't give me that much security.
Who do you want to see? Who would you want to see, Erin? What kind of people, in order to, say, have the knowledge of a chemical like this that is so widespread? It actually has gotten a lot of, I think, more attention here in recent years, including a major Hollywood film, that we've gotten a better sense of kind of what the stakes are here. So What kind of folks would you want to see on the transition team who could bring knowledge of how these companies work, who could bring knowledge of these chemicals to the next administration?
The scientists. I listened to the incoming administration about we need to follow the science. We're all watching what's going on. And the science is in on this. I mean, even Harvard has done research. I'm very concerned with some Harvard research that indicates that this chemical is so widespread in the human body that it could reduce the efficacy of a COVID-19 vaccine. What is that saying? So if we need to follow the science, I want science in there that bit the science on the danger of this chemical, directing the EPA on how we move forward, first of all, in cleaning it out and understanding the science and the actual health impacts that this chemical has on this entire nation.
Look, it certainly is something, this chemical is certainly something that requires a lot of attention, and we appreciate you discussing it with us. Erin Brockovich, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Still ahead, we have some new details about the Manhattan District Attorney's investigation into the Trump Organization. Sources telling CNN it has now expanded to include millions of dollars in tax write-offs.
If you're on Medicare, remember, the annual enrollment period is here. The time to choose your coverage begins October 15th and ends December 7th. So call United Healthcare and take advantage of a wide choice of plans, including an AARP Medicare Advantage plan from United Healthcare. It can combine your hospital and doctor coverage with Part D prescription drug coverage and more, all in one simple plan for a low monthly premium, or in some areas, no plan premium at all. Take advantage of $0 copays on all primary care doctor visits, all virtual visits, and all lab tests. Also get $0 copays for preventive dental care, $0 copays for routine hearing exams, and $0 copays for eye exams, plus free designer frames and prescription lenses. Now's the time to look at United Healthcare's variety of plans, and let us help find the one that works best for you. Ask about PPO plans too. They let you see any doctor who accepts Medicare without a referral, and pay in-network costs, at home or traveling, when you see doctors in the United Healthcare Medicare National Network. Take advantage of $0 copays on hundreds of prescription drugs at the pharmacy or by mail. In fact, last year, our Medicare Advantage plan members saved an average of over $7,200. And with Renew Active, enjoy a free gym membership with access to an extensive nationwide network of fitness locations, now including premium gyms. Now more than ever, count on United Healthcare to help you get the care you need when you need it. We can even help schedule appointments or find a specialist. Enrollment ends December 7th. Call United Healthcare or go online today. We make it easy to enroll too. It's time to take advantage of all the benefits of the Medicare Advantage plans with the AARP name.
Sweden, often touted by conservatives in this country as a model for freedom during the pandemic, is putting new coronavirus restrictions in place. Sweden managed to keep cases low like its Nordic neighbors for the first several months without a lockdown. But as you can see, there has been a huge surge. So Sweden's prime minister is banning public gatherings of more than 8 people for the next month. He's urging folks to stay away from gyms and from libraries while restricting access to bars. They can no longer serve alcohol after 10 p.m. But as CNN's Bill Black reports, many people there are ignoring the new guidelines.
A gym in central Stockholm. Sweden's government says this is dangerous, but it won't shut them down. Those working hard at a socially distanced class don't want to stop.
Workout for me is all I got right now, so I need to do this as long as I can, and for all the members as well, they're so happy that we're still doing it.
Perhaps they'd feel differently if they saw this. Uppsala Hospital, the ICU. A ventilated patient is being prepped for helicopter transfer to another facility with more free beds.
Are you surprised that you're already having a double capacity?
Not surprised, no. That's we expected.
After a quiet summer, the coronavirus is again surging in Sweden. This isn't like the spring peak. It's nowhere near as intense yet, but it feels to the staff here so familiar. They are tired and frustrated because there is a sense that this could have been avoided. A powerful second wave hasn't changed the essence of Sweden's distinctive approach to slowing the spread. Still, no forced lockdown, few rules, mostly just advice on social distancing with an emphasis on personal responsibility. On the front line, they say it's not enough.
We need to put some, consequences for not doing these things.
Enforcement.
Yeah, enforcement.
Sweden's official list of recommended behaviour is tougher now. It reads more like a voluntary lockdown, discouraging all non-essential mixing.
Can you hear me? Or?
But Anders Tegnell, the architect of Sweden's approach, admits too many aren't following his advice. So that's the key difference. Your recommendations aren't enforceable.
So far, during the spring, this worked really well. We managed to get people to stop meeting each other to a great extent. If we can get back to that level of follow-up on our advice, I think we can handle the situation also during this fall.
Yeah, and flex.
Yes.
Make him look angry. Tegnell is lionized here.
He has been our national hero in this crisis. He has put out guidelines that have kept our freedom.
There's broad support for the country's policies, even though officials admit Sweden failed its elderly. Almost 90% of people who died so far were over 70. And Sweden's total death toll is more than 4 times the combined figure of its Nordic neighbours, all of which embraced tougher measures. Hello.
Welcome.
But even among the sick, you meet advocates for prioritising freedom. Anders Eidsvik knows the suffering COVID-19 can cause.
It shouldn't be too easy to close down the society, I believe.
Sweden is sticking with a model that relies on consent instead of legal force, but it's now asking people to voluntarily give up more than ever before, and it's not yet clear they're willing to do it. Phil Black, CNN, Stockholm.
And our special coverage continues now with Brooke Baldwin. Hi there, I'm Brooke Baldwin. You are watching CNN. Thank you so much for being with me on this Friday afternoon. I want to let you know, I'm just getting my ear from my producer. We were watching this event in the briefing room with the White House. President Trump was present. We were waiting to see if he would actually take questions because he has not done so in 17 days. And I'm just now told he left. So, 17 days, no questions being taken by the President of the United States. Just given everything that happens, it's happening, right? The numbers don't lie. The president lost the election definitively. He is behind in the popular vote by nearly 6 million. He lost the electoral vote by 74. His legal battles are losing steam, so much so that he and his allies are 2 for 31 in the courts. It is over. And yet, here he is hosting Republican lawmakers from Michigan today, a state that he lost by more than 150,000 votes in a desperate bid to overturn those results. And while the president is all in on holding up the democratic process, he is ignoring the actual crisis that is worsening by the hour across this country. The pandemic. Cases are surging. Hospitals are now overflowing. More than 2,000 Americans died yesterday alone. And health experts are warning the death toll could eclipse 470,000 in the next 4 months. And while the president stands there in the briefing room, doesn't take questions, continues to put his ego ahead of you and your loved ones, this incoming administration is pressing ahead, meeting this hour with top Democrats in Congress, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, and Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer. And by the way, a source tells CNN that Speaker Pelosi has repeatedly referred to the current president, President Trump, as and I'm quoting her here, a psychopathic nut this week. So, let's go straight to our White House correspondent, Caitlin Collins, who is standing by in the briefing room. As I pointed out, Caitlin, the president, not taking questions yet again.
He has not taken questions since the day of the election, Brooke. And you've got to think that if the president felt so good about his, false statement, his lie that he won the election, you would think that he would take questions. He would talk about the evidence he believes his attorneys are going to be presenting in court, even though they did not present that evidence themselves yesterday, besides waving around some affidavits during that briefing. And so this is continuing on where the president is refusing to take our questions and refusing to expand on his claims that he won this election, or expand on why he is refusing to concede this election to Joe Biden, given he has clearly won and is blocking that transition from taking place. He just simply will not answer questions. And so he comes out here and he talks about the 74 million votes that he won in this election. But Brooke, he's ignoring the fact that Joe Biden won almost 80 million votes. And more importantly, obviously got more votes in the Electoral College, the same number that the president got in 2016. And so this is coming ahead of that meeting that the president is going to have here, we believe, in the next hour or so, with those Michigan state lawmakers, where this is basically his last-ditch effort to try to pressure them to override the will of the voters so he can try to overturn the results of this election. And we've seen how this has changed from they were saying, wait and let's have the votes come in. That will show that the president has won re-election. Then they said, well, we don't believe the votes that were legally counted actually added up to what they were supposed to, so we're going to follow these lawsuits. We know, of course, the president and his allies have lost 24 lawsuits since election day now, Brooke. So now the president is moving on to trying to use political muscle to pressure these state lawmakers to change the vote, to override the will of the voters in places like Michigan, where Joe Biden defeated Donald Trump with a margin of 150,000 votes. It wasn't even close there, Brooke. And of course, the president is not answering any questions on that. His press secretary was here earlier today. She only answered a handful of questions. And so that really doesn't really say much more than probably them answering questions could about how they think these efforts to overturn the results of the election are going to go.
I was just talking to the Michigan Secretary of State yesterday live on air when the president had tweeted, "I won Michigan," and I read the tweet back to the secretary, and she, without skipping a beat, said, "Look at the votes. Joe Biden won." Nonetheless, as you point out, those Michigan Republican lawmakers are headed to the White House. I'm going to come back to that in a second. Caitlin, thank you so much for all of just the perspective as we continue on, because now to Team Biden, both the president-elect and the vice president-elect are set to meet with Senator Schumer and Speaker Pelosi this hour in Wilmington. Let's go to Jessica Dean, who is there covering that angle for us. And so, Jessica, has the president-elect responded to what Trump is doing and not doing now?
Yeah, well, we did hear from him yesterday, Brooke, and we heard really his strongest words yet about President Trump's behavior, about what it means for the reputation of American democracy, frankly, all across the globe. And he said that it was very, very damaging. And we heard him, he really kind of paused and really selected his words carefully. Of course, he and his team have been trying to move forward as best they can around the fact that this formal transition process has been stalled by President Trump and his allies, and then the GSA has still refused to sign off on that formal transition process. And so to that end, they've been doing things all this week, Brooke, you've seen them, that really try to telegraph to the American people, to the Republicans, Republican allies of the president, and even the president, that they are putting together a government. They are moving ahead. So yesterday, that included that meeting, that bipartisan meeting with a set of governors to talk about COVID relief. Today, what that looks like, as you mentioned, is meeting with Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi to talk about COVID relief as well, and trying to get something done for the American people before this lame duck session is over. All of this, Brooke, as we're learning, they're also zeroing in on some cabinet nominee announcements that are likely to come next week, the first of what will be many, but a handful next week. He said yesterday that he has picked a Treasury Secretary. So they are making progress, Brooke, but again, this is so outside of what's normal. One of his lawyers and a senior advisor to his campaign, Bob Bauer, held a call with reporters today to talk about Trump's legal challenges and what they've been doing. And he said something to the effect of Trump and his allies are tearing at the fabric of democracy, but the fabric is holding. They truly believe that they will get to the other side of this, that Trump will not be successful, and that Joe Biden will take office on January 20th. Brooke.
Jessica, thank you so much. In Delaware, with me now, senior contributor and New York Times columnist Frank Bruni. And Frank, great to have you on as always. First, just we saw the president in the briefing room speaking, didn't take questions. I don't even want to say in denial. He's just flat out he according to our sources at CNN, he knows he lost. He's holding a grudge against Democrats over what happened in 2016. He is ignoring coronavirus. But at what point are the higher profile Republicans, Frank, going to break with this president and say enough is enough publicly?
I think we've been asking that question for close to 4 years now, Brooke. I mean, now the question is more urgent than ever, and the fact that more Republicans haven't broken with him is more astonishing than ever. Because we've gotten accustomed to Trump's antics. This goes beyond antics, but he's doing profound injury to the country right now, as you've noted and as your correspondents have noted. And it requires people in his party, not just Democrats, saying, buddy, you have to stop this. America matters more than you. You used a great phrase a bit ago, Brooke. You said he's putting his ego once again before you and your loved ones. This last couple of weeks is the apotheosis of Donald Trump's egomania. And it is his entire presidency distilled and to the nth degree. It is self above country. It is personal interest above civic interest. And his personal interest, I think, is not only prosecuting grudges, as you said. I think he also just likes to be the center of attention. This has, to some extent, been a reality show presidency, and he's giving us the next few episodes. He does not want, until the day he must cede the stage, to cede the stage.
But what's the long-term damage to the country?
The long-term damage to the country is, so we've talked a lot about the transition not going properly, and that is of great concern, but that will come to an end. I think we'll get beyond that. The long-term damage to the country is that Donald Trump is making sure that an enormous percentage of Americans do not see Joe Biden's presidency as legitimate, distrust everything about it, and refuse to find common ground or cooperate. And we were already in a state in this country of hyper-polarization, partisanship that was extraordinarily corrosive. This is just going to make that worse, and I think he's trying to make the country ungovernable.
When you look at, I'm listening to you, and when you look at the numbers, Monmouth University polls, 70% of Republicans believe Biden won because he cheated. And on the point, Frank, of the Republican Party, it's becoming more dangerous. The president's lawyers' conspiracy theories are now being embraced by the RNC, right? They're tweeting out clips of that, and I'm using air quotes intentionally, like Giuliani's press conference yesterday. But this is the Republican National Committee. What is happening as we move forward with the GOP?
Well, I think that the GOP is profoundly broken. I think that history is going to judge them very unkindly. But what's going on is I think most of them know full well that Trump is acting in a completely demented and destructive fashion. They're rationalizing that if I speak out against the president, he'll come after me, someone else will end up replacing me in office, and that someone else will be even worse than I am. And maybe there's some logic to that, but at a certain point, when you have been biting your tongue this long and this hard, tell me what your purpose in Congress is. Tell me what exactly you're accomplishing with this degree of silence.
If you can't speak up against this president, I just was thinking about this morning, how can you speak up against Xi, Putin, fill in the blank? That's what I'm wondering about with regard to some of these folks in Washington. And then just on top of all of this, the president, as we were just talking about, still claiming that he won Michigan. And I live on this show, I just said this. I talked to the Michigan Secretary of State, and she assured me Biden won. And now President Trump will meet with Michigan House, the Speaker and the Senate Majority Leader at the White House within the hour. And they both say they will honor the popular vote, but the fact that these two Republicans are even getting on a plane and flying to the people's house to meet with, at the end of the day, is the candidate. How does anyone think that's okay?
They shouldn't think it's okay. We've never seen anything like this in your or my lifetimes, Brooke, because we should never see anything like this. This is a display of trying to work around the rules and undermine democracy that even coming from Donald Trump takes my breath away. Throughout this presidency, we've always said, well, he wouldn't do X, Y, or Z. He won't go that far. He has always gone that far, and then he's gone farther. And to our discussion about Republican lawmakers and their complicity, their silence, how few of them are speaking out, if you can't speak out now, if now isn't the time to finally speak out, when is that time? What could be more urgent than circumstances in which you have a president of the United States undermining our very democracy and trying to make his successor look completely illegitimate?
Thank you. Frank Bruni, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We've got more breaking news for you this afternoon. It is official. Pfizer And BioNTech just submitted their 95% effective coronavirus vaccine to the FDA. When will Americans be able to get it? We'll talk to Dr. Sanjay Gupta next.
Your journey requires Liberty Mutual. They customize your car insurance so you only pay for what you need.
Wow, that will save me lots of money.
This seems boring.
Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
13 years ago, Subaru created the Share the Love event, where our new owners could choose a national or hometown charity, and Subaru and our retailers would proudly make a donation. But now, in times like these, companies are having a hard choice to make. But Subaru is more than a car company, and as charities struggle, we cannot just stand by. Which is why we plan to donate over $24 million again this year. The Subaru Share the Love event going on now.
This is Decision Tech. Find a stock based on your interests or what's trending. Get real-time insights and your customized view of the market. It's smarter trading technology for smarter trading decisions. Fidelity.
Symptoms keeps coming back. Inflammation in your eye might be to blame.
Looks like a great day for achy, burning eyes.
Over-the-counter eye drops typically work by lubricating your eyes, and they provide temporary relief.
These drops probably won't touch me.
Xiidra works differently, targeting inflammation that can cause dry eye disease.
What's that? Xiidra.
It can provide lasting relief.
Oh.
Xiidra is the only FDA-approved treatment specifically for the signs and symptoms of dry eye disease. One drop in each eye, twice a day. Don't use if you're allergic to Xiidra. Common side effects include eye irritation, discomfort, or blurred vision when applied to the eye, and unusual taste sensation. Don't touch container tip to your eye or any surface. After using Xiidra, wait 15 minutes before reinserting contacts.
Got any room in your eye?
Talk to an eye doctor about twice daily Xiidra.
I prefer you didn't.
Xiidra, not today, dry eye.
Bipolar depression. It's a dark, lonely place.
This is art inspired by real stories of people living with bipolar depression.
Emptiness, a hopeless struggle.
The lows of bipolar depression can disrupt your life and be hard to manage. Latuda could make a real difference in your symptoms. Latuda was proven to significantly reduce bipolar depression symptoms, and in clinical studies had no substantial impact on weight.
Now I'm feeling connected, empowered.
Latuda is not for everyone. Call your doctor about unusual mood changes, behaviors, or suicidal thoughts. Antidepressants can increase these in children, teens, and young adults. Elderly dementia patients on Latuda have an increased risk of death or stroke. Call your doctor about fever, stiff muscles, and confusion, as these may be life-threatening, or uncontrollable muscle movements, as these may be permanent. These are not all the serious side effects.
This is where I want to be.
Talk to your doctor and ask if Latuda can make the difference you've been looking for in your bipolar depression symptoms.
Black markets are all around us.
It's military grade.
Hidden in plain sight.
Should I be concerned about my security?
Of course. My name is Mariana Manzon.
This hasn't actually ever been filmed before.
I'm a journalist on a mission to find my way inside.
Someone's getting through the door. Right now, it's go time.
Trafficked. New series, Wednesday, December 2nd on National Geographic.
Hope is the light in all of us that cannot be extinguished. To stir that fire, University of Phoenix is awarding up to $1 million in scholarships through this month. See what scholarship you qualify for at Phoenix.edu.
Closed captioning brought to you by mesobook.com.
Mesothelioma is all we do. For over 10 years, we have offered a free book on mesothelioma. Call 1-800-400-2802.
This is CNN Breaking News.
We are back with some breaking news. It's Friday. I'm Brooke Baldwin. You're watching CNN. Let's get right to it. Pfizer and BioNTech have submitted to the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, for emergency use authorization for their coronavirus vaccine candidate. Let's go straight to Dr. Sanjay Gupta, our chief medical correspondent here. And so, Sanjay, what does this mean?
Well, Brooke, I mean, this is a day. I mean, this is a day that we've been talking about for some time. What it means right now is that this application has been filed. It's got to lead to something for it to mean anything for people who are watching right now, but it's a significant move. What Pfizer-BioNTech's basically saying is that they believe, based on the data that has been shared with them, and keep in mind, there's all these different organizations involved, as we talked about before, but various committees, obviously the FDA, the CDC, but they believe that the vaccine that they have created will meet the requirements to achieve an emergency use authorization. It's not the same thing as an approval, but it's an emergency use authorization that the FDA will grant in situations where they think there's tremendous need. This pandemic sort of qualifies for that, and they think that if this does get an emergency use authorization, they've already have doses of the vaccine they've been manufacturing for some time. It'll go to a committee that will determine where those doses go, who gets them, and that could happen, within the next few weeks, Brooke. So it's an important marker today. Again, I want to be careful. I haven't seen the data. Not very many people have. But the data that we've heard described to us by the company is very promising, and they certainly feel like it warrants an emergency use authorization.
So what I'm hearing is that if all goes well, according to this information we're just now getting, that in a matter of weeks, those high priority folks could possibly be getting this vaccine. And just remind people, because I know at least those who actually want to take the vaccine, what's the hierarchy?
Yeah, so, and this is a really important point. I mean, and the CDC, as well as a committee that works with the CDC, will sort of determine that. But based on our reporting and lots of conversations we've had with people who make these decisions, high-risk healthcare workers are probably going to be at the top of the list. The reason being that, as you know, Brooke, there's a lot of strain on hospital systems right now. In hospital systems, if you suddenly have significant outbreaks among healthcare workers and you lose, personnel as a result, that'll obviously make it even more challenging to take care of the patients that are coming into hospitals. Those numbers are going up. You need to do everything you can to protect those high-risk healthcare workers in the beginning. So they're probably going to be first in line. And, we can show you the rough sort of number of doses that's likely to be available. This is based on, again, everything going as we sort of suspect. Pfizer, we're hearing about today, but also Moderna, likely to be filing for an emergency use authorization. If both those get approved next month, December, before Christmas likely, 40 million doses, 2 doses per person, so 20 million people would be able to get immunized. It's pretty extraordinary. By the beginning of April, end of March, do the math there, it would be 150 million doses total. That's 75 million people. And that still wouldn't necessarily cover all the people who would be considered vulnerable, high risk for the various reasons. But you start getting into the summer, and after those people become vaccinated, and get the vaccine shots, then it would become people who are, younger, healthier, less at risk of getting sick. So, talking into the summer, late summer, maybe even early fall for other people. But it's these vulnerable populations, Brooke, that make the biggest difference. Keep in mind, as we've talked about since February, 80% of people, more than that, have very few, if any, symptoms from this. So this has really got to be for the 10 to 20% of people who are at highest risk, either because of exposures or because of their own medical background. And I think that that's going to really dictate the hierarchy, if you will, of how these vaccines roll out.
Got it. Sanjay, thank you so much for jumping in on the breaking news. I want to bring in another MD. She is Dr. Michelle McMurray-Heath. She is president and CEO of the Biotechnology Innovation Organization. And so, Doctor, great to have you on as we're getting this breaking news, which is certainly a positive development. But as Sanjay was pointing out, we're talking millions and millions of doses of this vaccine. And so my question to you is, we know that they want to distribute them quickly. So does that mean, all right, get them to your, local doctor's office? Do we go to CVS? Do we go to Walgreens? Or do they need to set up some giant area like an arena for a large number of people to just bang, get the shot?
Well, this is an incredibly hopeful day, and this news is so reassuring. And we at the Biotechnology Innovation Organization that represents over 1,000 biotechnology companies that have been working nonstop to get to this point are certainly buoyed by this news. And we do hope very, very soon that we'll be able to start delivering doses after an emergency use authorization, which is still yet to come, as Dr. Gupta pointed out, to our frontline healthcare workers who are at the top of that hierarchy that he mentioned in terms of who is most at risk for COVID. They have been working, they meaning the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, as well as the National Institutes of Health and the Food and Drug Administration, on distribution channels. So not just making sure that we have a vaccine that reaches our threshold of safety and effectiveness so that everyone can have confidence in it, but that we're actually working on figuring out how to distribute the doses and administer them.
But what
And
do you
we
think?
just want to say
If we're talking, let me just jump in. If we're talking expediency and millions of doses, it'll take a lot longer for an individual to go to, CVS on the corner versus go to some arena where they will have people lined up, vaccine.
Well, they have been working through established health channels, so there is hope that, by the spring of next year, we will be including, your local pharmacy, your local doctor's office in the distribution channels. Now, as you may recall, the Pfizer vaccine has some very particular storage features. It has to be kept at -70, the temperature of dry ice, and so there's special distribution set up specifically for that type of vaccine. So they are taking everything into account. They're making sure that they can get it to as many very, very convenient places as possible, but healthcare workers will be the first in line, and so they'll be going where they can find them as quickly as possible.
Do you, Dr. Murray-Heath, trust this current administration, the Trump administration, to do this right after they botched the distribution of PPE and testing earlier this year?
Well, let's just say it has been a bumpy road and it made all the more bumpier today. All the more bumpier today, where we have this triumphant news from one of our manufacturers, and we have, the President of the United States standing at a press conference saying that Pfizer is to blame for his political loss and importing foreign price controls as retribution. So while we have world leaders from around the globe calling our companies, congratulating them for the progress made to date, our own administration is dragging their heels, and we need incredibly smooth transition of power to the new administration to make sure there are no delays, no hiccups, because we do not need that. So when the Food and Drug Administration meets on December 8th, 9th, and 10th, they've said they're not going to approve a COVID vaccine without a public meeting so that everyone can see the data and have confidence in it when they meet. We need to be ready to roll. We need to make sure that we're going to be able to distribute and administer the vaccine as smoothly as possible through January, through February, without any slip-ups in the transition. So we need that cooperation right now.
Yes, indeed. Dr. Michelle Murray-Heath, thank you so much. Great to have you on.
Thank you.
Coming up next, are President Trump's children starting to feel the heat? What Ivanka Trump's latest tweet says about the investigation into her family business.
Still your best friend, and now your co-pilot. Still a father.
No, I'm emailing my worker and telling them the Kaufmans have not gotten back to me on a time for my visit with the twins. I'm emailing Miss Holmes. I'm emailing her. Okay, I'm not asleep.
Let's take a little test together. Which looks better? This or this? This or this? Seems clear to me. Saving cash beats spending it unwisely every time, which is why you'll love this offer from America's Best. Buy 2 pairs of glasses for just $69.95, and they'll throw in an eye exam for free. It's a savings of at least $50. That's not just a better deal. It's America's Best. Book an exam online today at americasbest.com.
Arby's, 2 for $6. Every day, flame seared, Greek seasoned Euro meat. 2 of those things for just $6. Arby's, we have the meats.
Alana is very, very, very energetic. I, of course, came on with call her an angel. Alana was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma, and it's cancer. There's nothing that I can do to make any of this better. I have to turn over all of my control to the doctors at St. Jude and pray that they're able to fix it.
For just $19 a month, you'll help us continue the life-saving research and treatment these kids need. Join with your debit or credit card right now, and we'll send you this St. Jude t-shirt.
When we got over here is when I realized that, no, you're not gonna get a bill for anything. They're saying we're gonna help save her, we're not gonna charge you anything. This is what we do.
Because people like you donate $19 a month, families never receive a bill from St. Jude for treatment, travel, housing, or food. Because all the family should worry about is helping their child live.
Alana has been out of treatment since December. We had her final CAT scan that revealed that there was no signs of cancer, which is awesome. My baby is gonna be able to live.
St. Jude won't stop until no child dies from cancer. Go online or call now.
If you've been thinking about switching to consumer cellular, now's the time. Because if you sign up today, you can get a $25 credit on any new line of service. That's a $50 credit on 2 lines. Switch and save today. Call, go online, or find us at Target.
We'll keep this quick. We're making breakfast without compromising your reality. Lunches you dream about in compostable packaging. Go-to dinners you actually look forward to. And decadent desserts made with whole, clean ingredients. All delivered right to your door. We only use thoughtfully sourced organic fruits and veggies to create something really freaking delicious. Just stock your freezer. Yeah, we make it that easy. Daily Harvest.
Non-valvular AFib can mean a lifetime of blood thinners. And if you are troubled by falls and bleeds, worry follows you everywhere. Over 100,000 people have left blood thinners behind with Watchman. It's a one-time, minimally invasive procedure that reduces stroke risk and bleeding worry for life. Watchman is one time for a lifetime.
Funk, turn the temperature down.
Turning down temperature, Dad.
Now, Funk, lock the doors.
Locking doors.
Dim the lights.
Dimming lights.
Good night, honey.
Good night.
That's my leg.
Oh.
Evolve your home security. Get the peace of mind, safety, and convenience of Xfinity Home. And don't forget to catch The Cruise: A New Age in theaters Thanksgiving. Rated PG.